Two pillars of history. One was an emperor. He ruled the known world. Marcus Aurelius sat on the throne of the Roman Empire. He was the most powerful man on earth. Still, he tried to live a life of virtue. His private thoughts became a book we now call Meditations. He wrote not for an audience, but for himself. He wrote to be a better man. He faced plagues, wars, and betrayal. But most of all, he faced himself. It is a guide to living a good life, a work of profound Stoic philosophy. He never intended for us to read it, but for centuries it has been a staple of Stoic principles in improving lives. The other was a general, a president, a leader of a new nation in the New World. George Washington led an unlikely revolution. He fought against the most powerful army of his time, and he did it with farmers. He faced frozen winters, defeats, desertions, lack of supplies, and their cause seemed lost. But Washington somehow managed to hold it all together. After the war, they wanted to make him a king. He refused. He chose to be a citizen. He served his country and then walked away from power. He did this not once, but twice. He did it for the cause of creating a new nation, not personal power. He also strove to improve daily. He kept journals from a young age, critical of himself and improving himself and seeking virtue and doing what is right. These two men lived centuries apart. They came from vastly different worlds. One inherited an empire. The other helped build a new republic from scratch. A Roman emperor and an American farmer. What could they possibly have in common? It turns out they shared a powerful inner fortress. They shared a philosophy. It was a way of thinking and acting that guided them through impossible challenges. What does it mean to be a Stoic? It is not about being emotionless. It is not about suppressing feelings. That is a common misunderstanding. Stoicism is an active philosophy, a training system for the mind. It teaches you to focus only on what you can control. Your thoughts, your judgments, your actions. Everything else is external. The weather, the economy, what other people say or do. The Stoics called these things indifference not because they didn't matter, but because they were outside our direct control. Respond with wisdom and virtue. Self-control is a cornerstone. The Stoics called it temperance. Master your desires and impulses, not a slave to your emotions. Marcus Aurelius wrote this constantly. He reminded himself, don't be carried away by anger or fear. Washington, immense self-possession. He had a famous temper. He worked his whole life to keep it in check. Control was not a gift. It was a skill, practiced every single day, in big moments and small ones. Duty, another key principle. We all have a role to play, a duty to our fellow human beings. Marcus, duty to the Roman people, his post. He did not want to be emperor, preferred a quiet life of study. Fate gave him the job. Washington felt the same pull, he called it providence. He felt duty to his country. He left his beloved farm again and again. He was called to serve. Resilience is the final piece. Life is hard. Pain and loss will come. They used it. The obstacle becomes the path. Marcus Aurelius and George Washington both led through immense hardship. Their leadership was forged in the fire of crisis. Marcus dealt with the Antonine Plague, a devastating pandemic that killed millions. He saw his people suffering and his legions weakened. He did not hide in his palace. He stayed in Rome. He sold his own imperial possessions to raise money for the state. He faced the crisis head-on with a calm resolve, a steady hand in chaos. He showed his people he was with them. Washington's crucible was Valley Forge. The winter of 1777 through 1778 was brutal. Soldiers were sick, starving, freezing. Many deserted. Morale hit an all-time low. Washington could have retreated. He did not. He stayed with his men. He lived in the same harsh conditions. He lobbied Congress for supplies. They didn't come. His presence was strength. He would not abandon them. He held the army together by will. He endured. Because he endured, the revolution endured. Their backgrounds were profoundly different. Marcus was born into the purple, tutored by the empire's finest, groomed for power from youth. His challenge, be a good man with absolute power. a philosopher wearing a crown, a battle for his soul. Washington's path, the opposite, a colonial farmer, a subject of the British Empire. Power not given earned, entrusted by fellow citizens. He had to build an army from nothing, win a war against a superpower, unite 13 fractious colonies, leadership by persuasion, not command, inspire people to follow, prove worthy of trust, day after day, year after year. It took steady work over time, different roads, same forging fire. Neither gave up, they endured. The leadership of Marcus and Washington inspired millions. In their own times, they were seen as figures of immense integrity. Marcus was called the philosopher king, dutiful, just, moderate. After his death, many kept statues of him in their homes. His example set a standard for what an emperor could be. A servant of the people, not their master. He ruled with the common good in mind. Washington became a legend. His men revered him. The American people saw him as the father of their country. His decision to give up power was stunning. At the time, successful generals became kings. He did not. Washington's choice to step down as commander-in-chief and later as president was his most powerful act. It proved the revolution was about principles, not about one man. It set a precedent for peaceful transfer of power. So what can we learn from them today? The lessons are simple. They are practical. First, focus on what you control. You cannot control the traffic, your boss, the news. You can control your response. You can choose to be calm. You can choose to be patient. You can choose to be kind. This is where your power lies. This is the first rule of Stoicism, the first rule for a good life. Get up and do the work. Do it without complaint. Do it for the good of others. Embrace your duty. Find meaning in it. As Marcus would say, do the right thing. The rest doesn't matter. Stop worrying about what is outside your sphere of influence. This is how we build a life of purpose and meaning, one day at a time. Separated by 1,600 years, united by a common pursuit of virtue, practice control, embrace duty, welcome resilience, learn from Marcus and Washington, and choose to live by a code.